Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Monday, February the 15th. Going to cover Monday's 7-game slate, go team by team, break it all down, give you guys my early thoughts, what I see from each team on the 7-game slate. We'll go game by game, and we'll break it down, looking at each team. But before we do get started with the breakdown, guys, as always, I'd appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. If you are new to the channel here, be sure to click that subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll also get notified every time I do go live. I will be live streaming this afternoon for tonight's slate, probably around 4 o'clock Eastern time. So if you're able to tune into the stream, you can tune in. We'll answer all your questions, talk through the slate once again. If any news comes out throughout the day that we need to hit on, we'll do that in the live stream as well. So if you want to get my updated thoughts on the stream or on this slate, you can check out the live stream on Monday afternoon. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Monday's slate. We'll start off with the Bulls and Pacers game. So on the Bulls side, looking at the Bulls today, we know Lauri Markkanen is going to remain out. Otto Porter is going to remain out. Those are two injuries, that it doesn't affect too much because the pricing on the Bulls guys have been affected, has been reflected because of that. Wendell Carter Jr. is questionable for this game, so he maybe could return. If he does return, obviously that's going to kill the value. Any value that Daniel Gafford has is going to be out the window. I mean, Gafford's probably not someone we were going to play anyway. He probably won't even get minutes if Wendell Carter's back in the rotation. Thad Young loses a bit of appeal for me as well if Wendell Carter plays. This Bulls team in general, I don't have that much interest in on this slate. I think if I was going to play anyone from Chicago, it would be Zach LaVine just because of the upside that he has on a nightly basis. He's a guy that can go out there and put up 50, 60 DK points almost any night. This doesn't feel like a spot where I really want to pay up for Zach LaVine, but if you want a contrarian option, a guy that's going to be low owned that has upside, Zach LaVine is someone you can look to on this slate, but really nobody from Chicago stands out as a top play today. I don't like too much from the Bulls. Don't think this is going to be a team I really have that much exposure to on this slate. So moving on to the Pacers side and looking at the Pacers. So for the Pacers, for me, it's really the top two guys and TJ McConnell, who we'll talk about, that I have the most interest in. So Sabonis and Brogdon, they've kind of been underpriced these last few slates. I think Sabonis is still a little bit too cheap. He's only $9,100, which is a pretty nice price for Sabonis in a good matchup like this against Chicago. The Bulls have always been a team that you can beat down low. They've always been a team that struggled to defend big men. The Bulls also do play at a very fast pace, and they have been really bad defensively this year. Big-time pace-up spot here for the Pacers. I do like some of these Pacers guys, and Sabonis is definitely the first guy that I will be looking to. I think if I can pay up at power forward, he by far looks like one of the most appealing options at the top of the position. Did have a pretty good game against the Bulls earlier this year, 55 DK points in 33 minutes. We know he's going to play massive minutes if this game's close. We're going to get probably 36, 38 minutes from Sabonis if this is a close game, and as long as he's not in foul trouble. Foul trouble kind of killed him last game. He only played 27 minutes, but most nights you're getting, 36, 38 minutes from Sabonis. And against the Bulls, if he does get his normal minutes, he's got easy 50-plus point upside. So I definitely like Sabonis on this slate. Malcolm Brogdon, this is someone that has just been so frustrating to roster lately. I don't know what's up with Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know if he's hurt, what's going on with him, but he has just not been the same player that he was at the beginning of the year. He hasn't been as productive on a point-per-minute basis. He hasn't been shooting the ball that well either. He's still playing big minutes, and he still has a pretty heavy role in this offense. It's just that, for fantasy, the numbers have been a little bit down, but this is still someone that I have interest in just because he still is a really productive player. He still averages 1.2 fantasy points per minute on the season. We know the usage on this Pacers team is going to be dominated by Sabonis and Brogdon. I do like Brogdon a good amount here against this Bulls team. I don't think he's going to be that popular today, just given how much he struggled lately. We haven't really seen a big game from Brogdon, but that upside is still there, and he could definitely put up a big one against this Bulls team. So really like Sabonis, really like Brogdon. Those are two guys I'm definitely going to be getting exposure to on the Pacers today. And then I want to talk about TJ McConnell. So he's actually been getting a really good role, lately with this Pacers team. He's been playing a lot alongside Malcolm Brogdon. Even with Malcolm Brogdon in there, they're still using TJ McConnell a ton off the bench. We've seen him play 32 minutes in 2 straight games. He's closing some of these games. I'm pretty sure he closed the last game against the Pacers. They're running different lineups. I think their closing lineup last game was McConnell, Brogdon, Sabonis, McDermott, and I think Justin Holiday. They can just switch up their lineup so much to where they can, run McConnell out there for 30 minutes off the bench. The Pacers are a team that runs a pretty tight rotation. They normally only play 8 or 9 guys a night. I think last game they ran an 8-man rotation. If McConnell's going to continue to get close to 30 minutes, I mean, even at 5,200, like, he has plenty of upside on this price. He's a good point per minute player. He can contribute with points and assists. He can get defensive stats as well. Like, he could definitely put up 30, 35 DK points if he's playing, around 30 minutes, especially in a good matchup like this against the Bulls. So I actually do like TJ McConnell quite a bit. And normally this is someone I don't really look to play when, Malcolm Brogdon's healthy. But while LeVert remains out, while TJ Warren remains out, I mean, there is definitely a role for TJ McConnell right now. So I do like him quite a bit on both sites. He's still pretty affordable, 5,200 on DK. On Yahoo, still pretty cheap over there at $16. Definitely have interest in TJ McConnell on both sites. But I think that really does it for the Pacers. Like Jeremy Lamb, he's been coming off the bench, but he hasn't been playing many minutes. I think one of the reasons you're seeing McConnell get so many minutes is, because he's taken them away from Jeremy Lamb. Lamb only played 19 last game. Aaron Holiday off the bench, he played 23. Justin Holiday, he's been starting and playing pretty big minutes, but, do I really want to pay $5,100 for Justin Holiday? Definitely not. I'd much rather play McConnell. So I think that does it for the Pacers. Sabonis, Brogdon, and McConnell are the guys I have the most interest in from Indiana today. Moving on to the next game, though, Houston and Washington. So starting off with Houston, we do have some injuries here to note. Christian Wood does remain out for the Rockets, while Victor Oladipo has also been ruled out. He was out on Saturday with the knee injury. That knee injury is going to keep him out for today's game. So with Victor Oladipo and Christian Wood both out, the biggest beneficiary, in my opinion, is John Wall. I still like John Wall quite a bit on both sides. 7,500 on DK. If you look at his price on Yahoo, still pretty affordable over there, coming in at $33. I'm going right back to John Wall. I had a good amount of interest in him on Saturday's slate when Oladipo was out. He didn't have the greatest game, but he was still solid for his price tag. He got 39 DK points in 31 minutes. He did lose some minutes to blowout. The game against the Knicks did blow out. I think Wall's just too cheap, man, especially in a really good matchup like this against the Wizards. It's a hashtag, revenge game for him. This is his first game back against Washington. He's played Washington this year, but this is his first time going back to Washington to play them. I don't know if there's going to be fans in the stadium or what, but I think John Wall is going to have some vengeance. I'm not playing him because of the revenge narrative. I'm playing him because Victor Oladipo's out. But yeah, I think the narrative there's something there for sure. He's getting the minutes as well, which is a big plus for me. He got 36 the game before the Knicks game. He would have played probably 34, 35 last game had it stayed close. As long as this game stays close against Washington, which it should, I think we get close to 36 minutes from John Wall. With no Oladipo, with no Christian Wood, he's going to get a ton of usage, a ton of opportunity, going to have the ball in his hands a ton. The upside's definitely there. I know we haven't seen a big John Wall game yet, but he's got 50-plus point upside, especially in a matchup like this. So really, really like John Wall on both sides. Definitely one of my favorite plays at the point guard position. Eric Gordon, I think, is the guy we can look to as well. He benefits with Victor Oladipo out. He started in place of Oladipo, and I would assume he starts again in tonight's game. Played 34 minutes, had 40 DK points, 24 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Look, Gordon's another guy, when he gets the opportunity to play, he can definitely produce. Without Oladipo, he's going to get more opportunity, going to get more usage. He can be productive whenever one of Oladipo or Wall are off the floor, and they're going to stagger the minutes of Gordon and Wall so that one of those two guys is on the floor at all times. You will see Eric Gordon be like the backup point guard whenever John Wall has to take a rest and, has to go to the sidelines, which is beneficial for Gordon because, he can be more productive when he's the guy out there, with the ball in his hands. And he will get some time on the floor without John Wall. So definitely like Eric Gordon. His price came up to $6,400, which makes it a little bit tougher to consider him like a top play. But I still think he is definitely in play for me. I do like him a good amount on Yahoo. He's still very affordable over there, $22 at shooting guard. I think Gordon, he looks the most appealing on Yahoo today. But even DeMarcus Cousins, I have a good amount of interest in as well. He's been really bad lately. We haven't seen any good games from Cousins in a while. But this is a good matchup against Washington. Cousins still has upside. He's still a productive player when he's on the floor. Maybe, like I've said it the last few videos, maybe he's tired. I don't really know. But I think the upside's still there. And if we're going to be getting close to 30 minutes from DeMarcus Cousins, especially against this Wizards team that's terrible defensively, that plays fast, Cousins definitely has 40, 50-point upside. Obviously, he's not like a top play, but someone I would have exposure to in tournaments, and I would definitely want in my player pool if I was playing multiple lineups. But I think that really does it for Houston. Jayshawn Tate, I had interest in last slate. Didn't really go well. I don't think I can go to him on this slate. I think there's just other guys I'd rather target. Same with Daniel House, same with Sterling Brown. I think without Oladipo, Sterling Brown's going to get more minutes, but his price came up to $4,200. If he was like $3,500 today, I'd have more interest, but I think, at $4,200, he's not like a top play for me, not a top value. I think that's it for Houston. I think we can go ahead and move on to the Wizards side. So with Washington, we do need to watch the status of Russell Westbrook. This is a back-to-back for the Wizards. They did play Sunday afternoon against the Celtics. So far this year, Westbrook has rested on every back-to-back. They haven't come out and said yet what his status is going to be. Right here it says Coach Scott Brooks said the team has yet to determine Westbrook's availability for Monday's back-to-back. For now, I'm just going to assume Westbrook plays, but, keep an eye on this. I would assume we're going to get word on this probably sometime in the afternoon. If Westbrook does wind up out, that is going to change a good amount. Bradley Beal at $8,900. I think even if Westbrook plays, Beal still looks appealing. But obviously, if Westbrook is out, Bradley Beal at $8,900 would become probably the best play on the slate, in my opinion. He would be a guy that I would definitely want to have exposure to. Probably would want to start my lineups with Bradley Beal if Westbrook's out. We know the usage, the upside is just through the roof when Westbrook's off the floor. He's a guy that's going to get a ton of minutes as long as the game stays close. It's a great matchup. It's a fast-paced game. This game definitely has potential to be a shootout if it can stay close. So depending on what happens with Westbrook, I think Beal's a good option if Westbrook plays, but he's obviously a fantastic option if Westbrook winds up out. If Westbrook plays, I think, at $9,400, he'd be viable as well. Probably would prefer Beal, though, for cheaper. But really, I don't have that much interest in now that his price is rising. Bertans, Neto, I don't have too much interest in these guys. I think if we're looking for value here, I believe Garrison Matthews started again on Sunday. He only played 20 minutes, though. If Westbrook winds up sitting, maybe we could look to Garrison Matthews, but I don't have that much interest in him. Raul Neto, he should be the guy that benefits if Westbrook's out, but I don't know how many minutes he plays. His prices also came up to $4,600. Really, there's not much to like from Washington today outside of the top two guys, Westbrook and Beal. And obviously, if Westbrook's out, then, Beal becomes a priority for me. We can go ahead and move on to the next game, the Hawks and the Knicks. So on the Hawks side, not much really stands out from Atlanta today. It's not that good of a matchup. Knicks, they're playing really good defense this year. They're playing really slow as well. Trae Young always has upside, but this doesn't really feel like a slate where I'm going to be going out of my way to play Trae Young. If Westbrook winds up sitting, I'd much rather prefer Bradley Beal for $600 less. Clint Capella, his price has come down to $7,400. He's been around the $8K range for a while now. $7,400, if we're going to get around 30 minutes from Capella, he can definitely give you 40-plus DK points and be a solid play at this price. I don't mind him, but the only guy that I really like from Atlanta today, I think the most appealing guy on the Hawks by far, is definitely Danilo Gallinari. So he's only $4,900 on DK. He is very affordable on DK, and he's also very cheap on Yahoo. At the small forward position, he's only $11, so definitely like Gallo here, especially while DeAndre Hunter remains out. We've seen Gallo's minutes limit really increase. There's basically no limit on him moving forward. He got 30 minutes against Dallas. He got 26 minutes in their last game against the Pacers. Gallo is a guy that can be productive when he gets minutes. He's been limited basically all year, but they've kind of finally took that limit away, and now he has the chance to play around 30 minutes a night. Obviously, this depends on if he's playing well, but we saw last game he was knocking down shots. He played well off the bench, got 26 minutes. There's definitely a path to around 30 minutes from Gallo, and if we're going to get around 30 minutes from him at $4,900, I definitely have interest in him as a decent value on this slate. We'll have to wait and see if there's any other value that opens up, but I think right now, if we're looking for guys under 5K that are viable, I think Gallo does look pretty good at $4,900, so he's probably my favorite guy to target from the Hawks, but I think that really does it for the rest of this team. Now going ahead and moving on to the Knicks side, this is a very appealing matchup for the Knicks, and I do have some interest in some guys from New York. So Julius Randle at $8,700, I think is definitely a viable pay-up option on this slate. I probably would prefer Domantas Sabonis for a couple hundred more if I'm going to pay up at power forward. I think I'd rather get to Sabonis over Randle, but we know the upside that Julius Randle has. Without Mitchell Robinson, I think that does benefit Julius Randle. He should get some time at center. I think last game he maybe played a few minutes at center. I can't exactly remember. I know Taj Gibson got a good amount of minutes. Nerlens Noel got a good amount of minutes. I can't remember if Randle played any at center last game, but we should see some, center minutes for him, which will benefit him. But really, it's just, a good matchup against Atlanta. He's still a little bit too cheap at $8,700. We know if this game's close, we're getting 36, 38 minutes from Julius Randle. We know he's a guy that's going to stuff the stat sheet. I do like him quite a bit from the Knicks today. I think he is very appealing if you can pay up at the power forward position. He does look like a top option. But the other guy that really stands out to me, I don't have that much interest in R.J. Barrett or Elfrid Payton or Derrick Rose, but I think Nerlens Noel again is, I know we went here Saturday it was against Houston. He got 32 minutes. He wasn't that productive though with just 23 DK points. I know it didn't really work out on Saturday, but I am totally going right back to Nerlens Noel. The fact that he got over 30 minutes is just such a positive. I was concerned that maybe he would only play about 24, 25 minutes. Well, Thibodeau gave him 32 minutes, and I think we probably get around 30, 32 minutes from Noel again. He's a point per minute player. If he is starting and playing around 30 minutes, he's most nights going to give you close to 30 DK points. At 4,400, he's still too cheap in my opinion. I do like Nerlens Noel a lot on both sides. He's still very affordable on Yahoo as well. Only $12 over there at the center position. I think if you're paying down at center, Nerlens Noel is definitely a top value. I don't know if people are going to go there again. Maybe because he disappointed on Saturday, people will be scared to go there. But the minutes were there. The production is normally going to be there when Noel does get the minutes, and he's a top value for me while Mitchell Robinson remains out. I think, we're just going to see the price continue to rise on Noel. He's probably going to get up to like 5K, maybe even close to 6K at some point. So we want to be on him now while he's only 4,400, especially in a pretty good matchup against Atlanta. But that really does it for the Knicks. Moving on to the Sixers and the Jazz game. So on the Sixers side, we do need to watch the status of Joel Embiid. This is a very big injury that's going to impact a lot if he's out. Right now, he is currently questionable for this game. Embiid is such a productive player. He's such a high-usage player that, I don't mind paying up for him on this slate, but obviously against the Jazz, this is not the most ideal spot. Really, for me, this Sixers team, if they are fully healthy, if Embiid plays, I don't really have any interest in anyone outside of Embiid. But if Embiid winds up out, that's a bump for Ben Simmons, that's a bump for Tobias Harris, and then Dwight Howard or Tony Bradley, whichever one were to start, would be a really good value as well. Howard's 3,600, Bradley's minimum salary $3K. We got to watch the status here. So, we got to watch the status of Embiid. It's tough to break down this game not knowing Embiid's playing, if he's going to play or not. If he's in, he's really the only guy I have any interest in from the Sixers. If he's out, Simmons, Harris, Howard, Bradley, one of those two guys, those three would become really good plays. Simmons and Harris I definitely have interest in because, whenever Embiid's out, both Simmons and Harris seem to go under-owned, but I do think the upside, the floor, their production's going to increase if Embiid's off the floor. So we just got to wait and see with Joel Embiid here. Tough to really break down the Sixers team right now. On the Jazz side, though, we do know that Mike Conley is going to remain out for this game. Donovan Mitchell at 8K, I think is still, a really good pay-up option if you can pay up at shooting guard. He's been really good lately with Mike Conley out. He didn't have the greatest game last time against Miami, but we've seen the upside that Mitchell has. We know the ball's going to be in his hands a lot more. He's going to get more usage. He's going to take a ton of shots with Conley off the floor. At 8K, that is still too cheap for Mitchell. Like, he should be close to 8,500, close to 9K whenever Conley's out. I still do like Donovan Mitchell quite a bit. I think he is a really good option to target from this game. Rudy Gobert, don't think I can go there on this slate. Just think there's other centers I prefer, especially if Embiid plays. It's just not that good of a matchup for Rudy Gobert. Jordan Clarkson, I still have interest in coming off the bench. He didn't have the greatest game last game against Miami. He did play 29 minutes, though, had 27 DK points. Without Mike Conley, we should get around 30, 32 minutes from Clarkson off the bench. I think at 5,900, he still has plenty of upside on this price, so do have some interest in him. Joe Ingles should continue to start with Conley out, probably play 30 to 32 minutes. He's had some good games without Conley. He's also had some pretty bad games. The floor is pretty low on Ingles, but he has shown a good ceiling. He can go out there and put up 35 to 40 points. I think I'd probably rather go with Jordan Clarkson over Ingles, but, with Mike Conley out, Mitchell, Clarkson, and Ingles are the three guys that I do have the most interest in from Utah today. But I think that does it for this game. So moving on to the next one, Cleveland and Golden State. So Cleveland is a team we will need to watch. We'll need to watch some statuses here. So Andre Drummond, he rested on Sunday, which was kind of unexpected. This is a back-to-back, so I am assuming that Drummond plays today. I assume he rested on Sunday so that he could play in this game. Against Golden State, you could not ask for a better matchup for Andre Drummond. Draymond Green, he's a really good defender, and he's going to be defending Andre Drummond, but still, Drummond, this should just be a spot where he should be able to dominate on the boards, has 20-20 upside. It's just a matter of if the minutes are going to be there. We've seen the last two games. The minutes have been way down. He was in foul trouble against Portland. I don't know what's going on with Drummond. I don't know if, the Cavs are just kind of tanking and they just don't really care. They're just not going to play Drummond much, but I still think, if he does get his normal 30 to 32 minutes, it's 7,600, especially against this undersized Warriors team. Like Andre Drummond, I would not be surprised if he puts up over 50 DraftKings points tonight. I still like him a lot in tournaments. I think people may be hesitant to go there given the minutes have been way down lately, but maybe because he rested on Sunday that he'll be full go for this game. I like Drummond a lot. I think he's definitely underpriced, and in the last game, I talked about how I didn't have much interest in Rudy Gobert. I think the main reason is because I just, would much rather play Andre Drummond at a similar price point. But outside of Drummond, I don't really like much else from the Cavs. If Andre Drummond sits again, which I don't think that's going to happen, but if he does, Jared Allen would obviously be a really good play. I like Jared Allen a lot on Sunday's slate once it was announced that Drummond was out. I'm assuming Drummond plays, though, so he's the guy that I do like the most from Cleveland, and really the only guy I have interest in from the Cavs today. But then moving on to the Warriors side. So with the Warriors, Steph Curry obviously is someone that has a ton of upside every night. I played him on Saturday's slate against Brooklyn, and it didn't go well. Curry's just been someone, man, that I just can't get right this year. It seems like when I just say not to play him, that's when he goes off, and then when I actually play him, like last slate against Brooklyn, that's when he has his 37, 40-point game. I'm probably not playing Curry today, which probably means he's going to go for 55, 60, but there's just other studs I'd rather get to. If Westbrook's out, I'd rather save $1,000 and play Bradley Beal. We're going to talk about Kyrie and Harden. I like both of them with KD out tonight. Just don't think this is a slate where I'm going to be really getting to Curry. Draymond Green, he's currently listed as probable. He's expected to play. If he does play, I have a good amount of interest in him at 6,700. With Draymond starting at center like he has been recently, the minutes have been way up. He obviously lost some minutes last game due to blowout, but as long as tonight's game against Cleveland stays close, we should get 35, 36 minutes from Draymond Green, and they are going to need him out there to defend Andre Drummond. It's going to be tough for really anyone on the Warriors to slow down Drummond outside of Draymond. Like, whenever Draymond's not on the floor, I don't really know who's going to guard Drummond. It would probably be like, I don't even know, maybe Kelly Oubre, Ron Toscano-Anderson. Like, that's one of the reasons I like Drummond so much, just because the Warriors, they're so undersized right now. They don't have really any big men that can slow down, opposing big men. Draymond's an elite defender, though. He's going to do his best, but I still think Drummond has a really big game tonight. And I do like, running it back with Draymond Green. We know the upside's there. He's got triple-double upside. We've seen that the last few games. He's my favorite guy to go to from the Warriors today. I think Kelly Oubre is also in play. I'd prefer him over Wiggins. At 6,500, I think Oubre still has plenty of upside on that price. But really, it's just Draymond for the Warriors and not really much else outside of Draymond. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game, the Heat and the Clippers. So on the Heat today, really nobody stands out as a top play from Miami. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, I think are both, kind of appropriately priced. Neither one stands out as a top play in a not a great matchup against LA. Tyler Hero at 5,800 could maybe be viable with Goran Dragic out, but he's been really bad lately. It's tough to trust Hero right now. He's been getting the minutes, he's been getting the opportunity, but we just haven't really seen a big game from him. This doesn't really feel like a spot where we're going to get a big game from Tyler Hero. Kendrick Nunn's kind of the same thing. He was a little bit better last game, did have 34 DK points in 34 minutes. I do think we're going to get big minutes from both Hero and Nunn. Both are likely going to play over 30 minutes. If I had to target one, I'd probably rather go with Tyler Hero given they're closely priced. Both are viable, but neither one stands out as like top plays today. Really nobody from Miami stands out as a top option. This is just not that appealing of a team, not a team that I'm really going to have that much exposure to on this slate. So moving on to the Clippers side. Now with the Clippers, we do have some big injuries to watch here. So Kawhi Leonard, he wound up resting, or he didn't rest, but he was ruled out with an injury for Sunday's game. I'm not sure yet if he's going to play for this one. I would assume that because he did not play Sunday, that means he's going to play today. Assuming Kawhi plays, he's viable, especially if Paul George remains out. George was ruled out again for Sunday, but he could maybe be back today. We don't really know. If we do get a scenario where Kawhi and PG both play, I really don't like anyone on the Clippers, and this is just going to be a game that I kind of full fade. But if Paul George winds up out again and Kawhi plays, then obviously Kawhi is viable. If we get a scenario, which I don't think is going to happen, but if we do get a scenario where both guys are out, where Kawhi and PG are both out, we saw Lou Williams have a big game Sunday with Kawhi and PG both out. I'd be fine going back to Lou Will today, even at 6,400. I'd have interest in guys like Reggie Jackson, Patrick Beverley, but tough to really break down this Clippers team given we don't know the status of Kawhi and PG. If they both play, I don't think I'm going to be going to anyone on the Clippers. If one of them's out, then you could target whichever one plays. But yeah, this is just not that appealing of a game. Not a game that I think I'm going to have really that much exposure to. So we can go ahead and move on to the last late night game of the slate, Brooklyn and Sacramento. This is one that I'm very interested in. Two very fast-paced teams, two pretty bad defensive teams as well. Starting off with the Brooklyn side, Brooklyn is way more appealing today than they normally are. We do know that Kevin Durant is going to be out for this game, so that's a big boost for both James Harden and Kyrie Irving. James Harden, I think, is the guy that I prefer to go to on today's slate. He's just been so good lately with the peripherals, man. Like last game against the Warriors, he only had 19 points, but he was able to contribute with 8 rebounds and 16 assists. Also had 1 block and 3 steals. Like Harden has just been stuffed in the stat sheet lately. He's been playing a ton of minutes. He's been kind of their primary ball handler as well. I saw a tweet from a beat writer, or I can't remember who tweeted out, but they basically said Kyrie pretty much told Harden, like, you're the point guard, I'm going to be the shooting guard. So I think we're going to see Harden, have the ball in his hands a lot more than Kyrie. I think Harden's going to be the primary point guard, especially when Kevin Durant's not on the floor. Obviously, the usage is going to be dominated by Harden and Kyrie when Durant's out, which is the case tonight. I like both these guys. It's a great matchup. It's a fast-paced game. I think both have a ton of upside. If I can only choose one, probably prefer Harden, but one thing worth noting is that Harden is point guard only on DraftKings, which is makes it pretty tough, especially because there's a lot of good point guards today, but I still want to try and get him in. I like him a lot on both sides. Now on Yahoo, Harden is actually a shooting guard over there, which is way more appealing. Definitely going to be looking to get exposure to him at $50 at the shooting guard position. We'll obviously need to watch the status of Westbrook. If Westbrook winds up out, I'm probably going to prefer taking the savings and playing Bradley Beal, but just got to wait and see for now. Kyrie Irving, though, I do like quite a bit as well. Worth noting, he has shooting guard eligibility, so you can play him at shooting guard, which makes him more appealing. His price is $9K, which I think is very reasonable, especially given the fact we know KD's out. We know how good of a matchup it is against Sacramento. Really fast-paced game. I wouldn't be surprised if we get 50, 55 DK points or more from both Kyrie and Harden today. I think you can play both of them together. I have no problems with that at all. You should see the usage dominated by these two guys, and these are the two guys I really want to target from Brooklyn today. I don't have too much interest in any of the secondary pieces. Like Joe Harris, he can randomly pop off and have those games where he knocks down like 7 or 8 threes. Could he do it in a fast-paced game against Sacramento? Sure he could, but still don't think Joe Harris is really a top option today. Jeff Green, he came off the bench and played close to 30 minutes last game with DeAndre Jordan out. DeAndre Jordan's expected back for today's game, though. Don't know if that really makes me have much interest in Green. Jordan, I don't have that much interest in. We just don't know how many minutes he's really going to get. He got 37 last game against the Pacers that he played in. If you tell me DeAndre Jordan's going to play 37 minutes, I'd love him on this slate, but I just have no confidence that happens. He could play 35 minutes. He could play 20. He could play 18. Like, the minutes are just so up in the air. Maybe without Kevin Durant, maybe we see DeAndre Jordan get out there a little bit more. So, maybe they just don't, they don't run like as many small ball lineups with KD. They can't now. So, could DeAndre Jordan play close to 30 minutes against Sacramento? He could. Am I confident that it happens? No. But if you want to take a shot on him, he's cheap at $4,500. If he does get around 30 minutes, he should easily be able to pay off that cheap price tag. With Kevin Durant out in some of their games, we've seen Bruce Brown sometimes move into the starting lineup. He did start last game against Golden State, which was kind of unexpected. I assume they wanted him out there to defend Steph Curry, and he did a pretty good job at it. He played 22 minutes in the starting lineup, had 28 DK points. If Bruce Brown does wind up starting for Kevin Durant at $4,100, he wouldn't be like a top value play. If he was like $3K, I'd have a lot more interest in him. At $4,100, makes it a bit tougher, but I still think Bruce Brown is definitely in play today if he does wind up starting for Kevin Durant. I'd assume either Bruce Brown or Jeff Green's going to start for KD, but that's just something we'll have to wait and see on. But I think that does it for the Brooklyn side. Now moving on to Sacramento. So Sacramento, normally this is a team that's tough to get to when they're fully healthy just because everybody's kind of priced appropriately. But this is a great matchup against Brooklyn. This is a fast-paced game. I think De'Aaron Fox has a ton of upside here. If you want to, stack up Kyrie or Harden, if you want to play one of those two guys and run it back with De'Aaron Fox, I have no problems with that at all. We know the massive upside that Fox has. He's been so good lately. He's been playing a ton of minutes as well. He's going to get probably 36 to 38 minutes tonight as long as this game stays close. He has been dealing with an injury, so that'll be something to watch. I'd assume he plays today on the back-to-back, but this knee injury could maybe be something that keeps him out. I'd assume he's in there, but just keep an eye on that. If Fox is good to go, I do like him quite a bit at $8,800. But really, outside of Fox, there's not much else I like from Sacramento today. I think Rashawn Holmes is viable at 6K. It is a really good matchup against Brooklyn. The Nets have always struggled to defend big men. They've always been a team you can attack down low. DeAndre Jordan's never been that good of a defender. So at 6K, Holmes is viable, but really the only guy that I like a ton from Sacramento today is De'Aaron Fox. Marvin Bagley, he was out Sunday. We don't really know if he's going to play today. I don't think it affects really too much. Maybe Nemanja Bjelica picks up a few more minutes. He played 28 in their game against Orlando when Bagley was out. And I believe on Sunday's game against the Grizzlies, I can check it real quick. He played off the bench. Bjelica played 26 minutes. He wasn't that productive, but if we do get Bagley out again, I'd assume we get probably 22, 24 minutes from Bjelica off the bench, maybe a few more. He'd be viable for sure at 4K. Maybe they would start him as well. They started Jeffries. I don't even know who this guy is. They started Daquan Jeffries in place of Bagley on Sunday, but he only played 11 minutes. So maybe if Bagley's out again, maybe we see Bjelica start. That would obviously make me like him a lot more. But this will just be something to monitor. If Bagley's out, we can maybe target Bjelica at 4K. But that really does it for the Kings today. And I think it does it for all 7 games on this slate. So appreciate you guys watching the video. Hope it did help. If you enjoyed, just hit that like button before you do get out of here, guys. Hit the subscribe button as well. Be sure to click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You never miss out on any of my new videos. You'll also get notified every time I do go live. And like I said at the beginning, I will be live streaming this afternoon, Monday afternoon around 4 o'clock Eastern. If you want to tune into the stream, I can answer all your questions. We can break down everything, talk through the slate together. So be sure to check out the stream, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out my Patreon content, link down below as well. And good luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Good luck. Peace.